Right, welcome everybody. Mil Spec Ops Monkey here. It is Friday, February 26th, 2021 at about 2:45 p.m. Central Standard Time here, coming to you from the great state of Texas. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So here we are. Currently, right now, as we speak, we got 283 aircraft up. That's about 250 is our normal range, so we're just a little bit high. Not too bad, but we do have some interesting aircraft that are up currently. So we've got this one we've been watching. This is the 98-002. As you guys know, this is one of the blue and white out of the fleet. And that one is currently up 39,000 feet and looks like it's coming out of Hawaii. So somebody's off getting a little bit of working on their tan. And we got this Venus 93, which is 99-003. It's also a blue and white 757. And Vader 20, which is another one that was up earlier this week. That's also one of the blue and white 7. All right, and so this is going to be your blue and white that I'm talking about. And so that aircraft right there could be anything from Air Force 2, which could be VP, to first men, first ladies, could be president, could be chief of staff, could be Secretary of State. A lot of things. Secretary of Defense, could be anybody on that. Nancy Pelosi could even be on that. Okay, House Speaker. So just don't know who's on them, but just a heads up that they are definitely up and in the sky. So we'll keep looking at those. Got a little air refueler down here. Now I will tell you, here is the thing that caught my eye earlier. All right, as we're gonna start looking too, I'm gonna show you the TFRs that are active. But this C-17, that looks like it's rolling down in the Houston area. All right, so just so you guys know, today was senior tour day, and so we've got Biden has left, and he's down here, I guess, visiting a Golden Corral. The buffet is on special today, and so that I'm going to show you in just a second that he's down here in the Houston area, and we'll show you the TFR and we'll go through all that. But he's currently on ground right there. So he has exfilled the brown zone and the Senior Living Center and is now down in Houston. So that said, I do expect to see some of the other things up. Like, for example, let me back out. I just saw it a minute ago. Creed 16 is going to be, that is Night Watch. All right, as you guys can see over here, the E4B and Night Watch. For those not familiar with that aircraft looks very similar to the Air Force One aircraft, okay? But it's a little bit different. It's got a different electronic suite on it and things of that nature. So when he is up and about, that is very common for that to be up and about as well, because that is a backup to the Air Force One 747. So now that said, earlier today we had a sighting, another Air Force One, but he has yet to call it Air Force One. Every time he gets on it, it's NA. And so we've got, which is very puzzling to me, because, you would think he's a president. We have the vice president who is flying on a 737, which is also unusual. But they are at least given the call out of Air Force Two. Now this one, here he is flying. We've got the 747 and a 757, one right behind the other, heading in. Both of them call sign NA, which makes no sense to me, because he should be, if we got a VP calling out Air Force Two, then there's the security wise, I don't know why they wouldn't be calling Air Force One out instead of NA, which again, like I said, this is very puzzling to me. So, and it's occurred every time he's flown. I have yet to see it be called Air Force One yet. So just a data point, but definitely something's up with that. It just seems very, very odd. So, okay. So that said, again, looks like we've got quite a few of the blue and whites up, but right now, Biden is on ground in Houston. So let's go take a quick gander. We're going to look at the TFRs that are active right now over the U.S. This is the My Radar app, and it is a fantastic app. It can track all kinds of stuff, from turbulence to ice to give you flight conditions. So it's got a lot of pilot weather information, but it also gives you TFRs and fires and a lot of different things that are going on out there, earthquakes. And so as you guys can see, this is our active TFR right now. So we've got one red and one yellow. I don't know why they are two different colors, but these are security TFRs, or VIP TFRs, sorry, for that area. Now this down here is a security TFR on the border of Texas. This is a TFR, temporary flight restriction, along the border area as well. So there's a lot of drone activity going on right there. And the San Angelo area, that's been out there for a while. And that goes from yellow to red from time to time. These red things you see in here are flood warnings. Okay, so those are just water areas that are flooding right now. Okay, so that's what that is. So like I said, you get a lot of different stuff. We do have a little active TFR down here just northwest of Crestview. All right, and those are hazards. So I don't really know what the hazards are, but there is that. Okay, so that's new. Wasn't there yesterday. And so we get down here to Florida. Now, this is Space Coast. That's Kennedy Space Center. So we probably have some launch operations. That's space operations right here. And this is Disney World that has a permanent TFR over Dittany. And then this is a new one. And I don't know what it's for, but it's a security TFR just north of Key West. So I don't know if they've got some launch operations or they're doing some military activity down here, but security and 0 to 1,000 feet. So it's pretty low level stuff. So they may be doing some training down here, security training. So, but anyway, that runs from the 27th until March 1st. So starting tomorrow, it's active all the way until the 1st of the month. So, all right, now I'm going to back out a little bit, and I will show you guys. This is the brown zone, and so that is a permanent TFR over DC, still in place, hasn't gone away. All right, and that, of course, that is over the Senior Living Center. All right, and another. This is more. That's always been there too. And I want to say it's a space operations one for some crazy reason, but. And same thing here over Beale Air Force Base in California. I don't see anything else. These are all normal. That's Disney on the West Coast. So also has a permanent TFR over it, which I don't understand why. Maybe fireworks. I don't know. Makes no sense either. But okay, and this one over Tucson, that is a new one, and we're going to click on that to see what we have. Air show. All right, so that's going to be our air show TFR. Okay, so there are our TFRs for the day. Some of them running up for a week. Okay. All right, so let's take a quick look at the U.S. at what we got, and then we'll delve into the prison locations. So looks like we got a little. I'm going to hit persistence because I want to save everything I got. All right, now that is a 767 Pegasus. That's an air refueler down here coming out of Puerto Rico. Now we do have a CPAC going on in Florida, down in Orlando, but I don't see really much besides the Disney TFR down there going on. It's got some Coast Guard helos that look to be up, and got a C-17 that looks like it's coming out of Tampa heading into Jacksonville. And these Brady's are C-130s. All right, so G5, I'm going to kind of zoom into the brown zone area a little closer. Got another P8. Now that one's coming out of probably Pax River area, and looks like he's just doing some routine stuff. Now I have heard that they're using the P8s to do some of the tunnel exploration stuff. So I don't know if there is some tunnel activity up here or if they're actually looking for subs that may have gotten into the continental area. Okay. So if you notice, that was very heavy duty earlier this week. We had some of the drone activity out here off the coast, as well as some P8s in the evening. And so now that they're coming in here looking inbound, that's kind of worrisome. So I don't know, but we'll keep our eye on that. That's a fighter. All right. And so there's a P3 up here. Now that is a Canadian P3, which I don't know. That's kind of crazy. First time I've seen a Canadian P3, but I guess they have them. And that's up here off of Nova Scotia. Looks like it's at Halifax area. And looks like it's just getting off the ground. All right. So Definitely seems like we've got maybe some Soviet or some Chinese, maybe even some Iranian subs that are out here off the East Coast, because we have had a flurry of activity with the electronic suite this past week. Okay, this is going to be our Sentry. That's an E3 Sentry AWACS. It looks like that thing is doing some support work just northeast of Vegas. And let's see, you got some fighter. That's an F-16 out here. And let's just look, R-135. That's another electronic suite aircraft. Looks like he's out doing some stuff too and headed westbound. All right. All this clutter right here, these are all trainers. So it looks like we got a pretty heavy trainer day here in the Texas, down in the South Texas, south of Austin, San Antonio. And then up here north in the what is that, Oklahoma City area, and then north of Oklahoma City. So little T-38s and T-37s, Tweety Birds, and T-38s, which are lawn darts. Okay, and quite a few of those. So it's good, man. We seem to be training a lot of pilots lately. Okay, so we're going to back out just a little bit. We're going to go into some of the prison locations, and looks like Hawaii's got a little activity going on too before we exit out there. But all right, now looks like our first up, it looks like we've had some recent activity. This thing landed about 3 hours ago, but this is our Hilo sniffer. So it looks to be doing just some laps around the brown zone right there at Camp Springs. Okay, and so maybe doing some test work, leg work, maybe a little maintenance ops check or something. But same thing here, just doing some laps. And then of course we got it right now. Looks like it is en route, so it is actually off the ground, and it once again looks to be just doing some laps around the runway there. So maybe Hilo's, I don't know if you consider them touch and goes, but they could be doing some maintenance work or something and having to do some flight checks. So okay, so there's that. We're gonna head over to Guantanamo Bay, aka the spa. Everything looks to be normal on the board right now. For today, we've got an Airborne Express 767-200 that's coming out of Norfolk, Virginia. And we've got a Learjet, which is probably contractors being picked up and taken back to the mainland. All right. XPL Honduras. We've got a lot of flight activity out around the base area, but not anything on the board. So we don't have anything scheduled inbound or outbound right now. So it's a pretty quiet day there. All right. And then we're going to pop into Diego Garcia, which is Camp Justice, and see if we got anything. Looks like the board is clear over there too. Now, one of the things I do want to point out to you real fast, this is when you know you're over the target. Okay, we've been tracking these gray birds for a while, and I said in the last SITREP that these are agency birds, right? They're a service provider to the agencies, and so looks like they finally figured out that I've been watching them for a while, and so now if you go to these gray birds and you try and look them up, here's 183 PA. It says not available due to public tracking over the European government data rules. Okay, so no live public tracking. Now, when it gets back to the U.S., it says this: not available per request of the owner operator. All right, so that's 173 PA, and then here's our 163 PA per the request of owner operator. So they finally figured out. I've been watching them for a while, and probably have compromised. Well, I wouldn't say we've comped their operations, but they don't want us knowing what they're up to, because now, we can tell what's coming, right? And where they're going and what they're up to and all the other fun stuff. So kind of sucks we can't track them anymore, but that's okay. We at least know we were over the target, because they don't do that unless you are actually over the target. So now the real trick is going to be watching the Kalitas and all the other aircraft that we've been watching for a while to see if they do the same thing. All right. So, all right. So that said, we're going to go over here to the Jenna 622. Now that is your AG for the DOJ, Department of Just Us. And so it looks like his last flight was 21 hours ago from Vegas to the Brown Zone. Okay. And so we'll just continue to watch and see where he goes, because that's kind of a key in terms of big operations, and kind of a heads up of what they are up to as well. Okay. All right. So today we're going to get into one of my favorite aircraft. All right. I want to just kind of get, every time we do this, I want to try to pull in an aircraft that we watch and we look at, just so you guys can learn a little bit about them, and also just to just give you a level of understanding so that you can kind of appreciate some of the aircraft that are out there as well, because there's a lot of people that don't really know anything about. So I say, oh, it's a B-52. They don't know that what a B-52 is, right? So to educate and let people know what it is, it kind of lets them understand what we're looking at and why we're looking at it and why it's interesting that it's up. Okay, so the B-52, as we start to dig in now, I will tell you there's only about 4 bases out there right now that actually where they go regularly, right? But one of the biggest ones is right here in this Shreveport area. It's Bossier City. That's going to be Barksdale Air Force Base, and it's the largest SAC B-52 base in the world. Okay. So that said, we're going to take a closer look at our B-52, all right? Now, this aircraft was actually originally manufactured in 1946 is when they started, all right? So it is a very old platform, and the mission and the role of the B-52 has changed considerably over the last, several decades, okay? And in Vietnam, this aircraft was really known for carpet bombing, okay? And that's where it would basically fly high level over a target and just drop tons and tons of ordnance onto a target and just obliterate it. Okay, and so very high level. Okay, and so this thing, the reason it's called so it's a B-52 Stratofortress, and the reason it's called a Stratofortress is because it typically flies up in the stratosphere. Okay, so it is usually pretty high altitude stuff. Okay, now it is the role of that thing has changed considerably, and now today it'll still do the high-level bomb runs, but it also does a lot of low-level stuff. And so it'll actually drop down into canyons, fly low-level, below radar, and then what it does is it'll actually pop up when it is ready to, drop its bomb. So it'll stay off radar, then it'll pop up, drop off its weapons, and then it'll drop back down below radar until it gets out of the area. And sometimes it has fighter escorts, sometimes it doesn't. Now, the back end of this has this is a gun in the back that is actually, it's got a guy that actually sits up front called the gunner. Now, in the older original models, the gunner used to sit back here in the tail, okay? Not today. They don't sit in the tail anymore. It's really automated quite a bit. But now they sit up in the front section, all right? All right, now if you look closely, I'm going to try and point this out. You have a pilot and a co-pilot that sit right here in the front. You have an instructor pilot seat that sits in the middle between the pilot and co-pilot. And then right up here, there's a hatch that actually to get into the cockpit area, okay? So they go up inside this hatch, and down on the lower deck, you will see a bomber and a bomb nav, right? So there's two guys that sit forward facing in the bottom lower deck, and then in the very top deck in the back, right here inside this aircraft is a electronic warfare officer on the left hand side and a gunner on the right hand side, and they both, when I say left and right, that's facing backwards, okay? And so the gunner is working in so these two guys fly backwards, okay? Now, if they have to eject, the pilot and co-pilot come out the top here, and the EWO, electronic warfare officer, and the gunner also eject out of the top. And then the nav and the bomb nav, those two come out the bottom, okay? All right, so now if you are a crew chief or an instructor pilot or somebody else that happens to be unlucky enough not to be sitting in an ejection seat, then you basically have to roll out one of the holes that are left, okay? All right, so this one that we're looking at, this is an H model, all right? And so these engines are Tf33 engines. Now, they used to have a J57 engine, and long before that, they had another series that was on there. But these things are, when they fly, you'll notice that they fly kind of nose heavy, so the nose is typically down. They blow a lot of black smoke. Now, these new Tf33 engines are considerably more quiet, but it's got 8 engines, 4 on each side, all right? This is a external. It has an external tank as well, fuel tank on both wings. All right. It has a drag chute that sits in the back that'll actually pop out. So when it lands, if it because it is so heavy, that drag chute will actually pop out of the back. They'll deploy that, and that helps kind of preserve some of the brakes and stuff on the aircraft. Okay. All right. So the bomb section here in the belly, and then of course it's got pylons that you can mount that will also hold weapons, so cruise missiles. Now this thing can carry conventional and nuclear weapons, all right? And so usually the nukes are on the wing, and but they can carry those in the belly as well, okay? So on the front right here, these two little domes that you see, these are cameras, okay? And also, let's see, right here on the back side on the right side of the upper fuselage is where they actually put potable water in. And so these engines will take potable water, and so they will actually what they call take off wet, and that's where they actually inject water, and it creates additional thrust. And but they do that. And let's see, the other thing too, this aircraft, so we talk a little bit about the wingspan. These wings right here, when they're in flight, they can flex up to 27 feet, okay, in either direction. So they've got that much bow in the wing tips, all right, 27 feet top to bottom, okay. Now, the total height of the tail down to the base is 40 feet, 8 inches. Wingspan is 185 feet from tip to tip. The overall length of this aircraft is 159 feet, 4 inches, nose to tail, all right. And the fuel capacity. Now, I'm going to tell you in pounds, okay? This thing will hold 310,000 pounds of fuel, okay? Now, that is not a typical load. That's a max load, okay? And when they're putting that on plus water, they have to run with the water to take off, water injection to take off, okay? Just to get off the ground. So 310,000 pounds of fuel is a lot, and that thing can stay airborne for a very long time, okay? Those flights are not uncommon for them to take off out of Louisiana and fly for 9-10 hours and come back, okay? Now, they have air refueling capability, and also the wings in here are what they call a bladder wing, okay? So the wings are completely full of fuel, but they have these black bladders that are inside that carry the wing. It's not a wet wing like your normal aircraft today, where they actually they just have everything sealed, all the joints are sealed, and the wing is full of fuel, okay? These are bladders that are in this wing, okay? All right, so now let's talk max speed. This thing will cruise at about 650 miles per hour. That's max speed. Cruise speed, 525 miles per hour, and has a combat radius of about 4,480 miles. And of course, the service ceiling is about 50,000 feet. All right, so that's why it's a stratofortress. All right, rate of climb is 6,270 feet a minute, and that is pretty much it. Now, the gun in the back. Let's talk a little bit about the gun. The gun in the back is a 20 millimeter M61 Vulcan Cannon. All right, and if you were on a fighter, you don't want to get behind this thing because it will lock onto you and it will light you up, all right? And so now we get back to our map, and we're going to take just a quick look over here at Europe and see what we have going on. The other day I tried to look at Europe and the screen went black on me, and so it never came back until I had to actually reload everything. So very, very strange. So, all right, looks like we've got a handful of, these are A400 aircraft. Those are not familiar with the A400. Give you a quick down and dirty look, but it's actually a pretty cool looking bird. But this is what the Royal Navy, the RAF, flies. Looks similar to our old 141s, kind of like a C-130 platform, very similar. Okay, all right, so it looks like we've got a couple of those up. Got some C-17 action going on over. That's some of our Reach aircraft. That's U.S. All right, and so we've got also a looks like we've got a H-60 Black Hawk out over Europe as well, and EC-35, that's a trainer. And so really, actually, for 3 o'clock, so it's about 10:08 p.m. I think it's 10 p.m. Over the UK, so it's kind of quiet for Friday night, so not too much going on. And let's go take a look over the Middle East. So we get down here, looks like we've got a DC-10 operated by the U.S., so that means we got some fighters that are down here, and that is a Navy 737. Looks like that bad dude is coming out of Northern Africa, and don't know where that's heading, but okay. All right, so hey, that's where we are headed into the weekend. So this is going to be interesting. We'll keep our eyes out. Like I said, to see the Air Force One not being called Air Force One is it's actually becoming a little bit suspect. Okay, and this has now been going on since Trump had vacated. Right, they called it NA when Trump flew down to Florida as he was still POTUS until the Biden event took place. Okay. But he continues to fly as NA, so we'll keep an eye out and see if it pops back in as an Air Force One, or if they ever do it. Like I said, very strange, very strange. So, all right, that's all I've got. So listen, you guys be safe. If anything changes, I will pop on. For those that are following me over on Patreon, I am doing live over on Patreon occasionally, and I'm not doing it on YouTube. I just do it over on Patreon. So if you're a Patreon follower, you guys are getting to see more sit reps than anybody else. All right, so that's where I be going. All right, folks, that's it. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe out there. God bless. Monkey out.